further ado, Clarke, come on up and tell us about what you do.
Yes, sir. So my name is Clarke. Just like John said, we just did a podcast episode. My background is actually in nutrition and biohacking. Originally, what I did is I actually worked in the casino industry. A lot of my people, the joke was Clarke bled green, because what I would do before work, 7-Eleven was right around the corner. I would buy two liters of Mountain Dew. I'd take it into work, set it down, and I would literally, they had a cabinet, and I could go through, I could stuff my Mountain Dews in there. I would drink both 2 liters before the shift was done, so 8-hour shift. And then I would go home, and on the way home, I would either stop by Taco Bell, and by the way, the employees there knew me. They knew my face, because Taco Bell had Baja Blast. And Baja Blast was my favorite Mountain Dew, so I'd get a Baja Blast, Chalupas, beefy 5-layer burrito, whatever, and then I'd go home because I work swing shift. And so because I work swing shift, everybody else has gone to sleep. It's 12 o'clock at night, so I go home, I play video games until 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, rinse and repeat, and I did that for 6 years. So I'm sure you guys can all guess that eventually caught up with me. So when it did, I was like, I'm in a bad place. I'm in my late 20s. I'm not healthy. I'm a little taller, so I could kind of hide my weight a little bit better. So, you know, people weren't like, oh yeah, he's super out of shape. No, I was. I played basketball quite a bit. I actually dislocated my kneecap. So I went down, injury, done, over. I was like, I got to kind of go through and start fixing myself back up. So I started going through and researching a lot of nutrition. I realized when I was talking to John that the first introduction I had was from Terry Crews on a video on intermittent fasting. That was my gateway drug to go through and start figuring out all this stuff on how does intermittent fasting work? How do keto diets work? How does vegan, vegetarian, carnivore diets work? And then I'm like, what's biohacking? What is this? What's this red light therapy? What's these hyperbaric chambers? What are these PMF mats? And that was about 2017-ish. And I'm like, oh, you know what? These are really cool. But you know what works better? You have to go through and have a foundation, go through and work on everything with. So if you don't have a foundation, it doesn't matter how much of this other stuff you go and throw at it. You're just wasting your money. I work with a functional chiropractor, and what he says is, you can go through and you can do all this stuff, but it's like sweeping your porch during a dust storm. If you go through and sweep your dust in a dust storm, it's all going to just come back on your porch, right? And nothing's actually getting fixed. So what I went and started doing is I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I go through and I work trade shows, and I also go through and get educated at these same trade shows like RadFest, A4M. We just had a peptide conference that was here in town. So my goal is to go through and find the best supplements, the best products, the best modalities. And then I run an e-commerce website where pretty much everything's vetted. Everything that's on that website is going to be good for you as a consumer. It's not going to be the crap you can go through and you can buy at Walmart or, you know, Target, whatever else, like Centrum Silver. Anybody know what Centrum Silver is? You guys have seen that? You guys know why the bottle is so heavy? You guys know why the bottle is heavy? It's filler for one, but they have a certain calcium that they use. That's the same calcium that's in concrete. Yeah, no, seriously. So you can go look it up. I don't have to make this stuff up. You can go through and verify it yourself. And so when I go through and I look at that, I'm like, that's wasted money. You can go through and get a much better one that actually does what it's supposed to. And then as just a little tidbit, I like to go through and educate people. So as I was listening to Janelle's story, I saw a lot of you guys were kind of confused about, you know, like, why are people cutting off nipples? And I'll give you a little backstory onto why that works out the way it did. There's a doctor, his name is Dr. Stuart Halstead. Some of the people in the room might be familiar with that name, but other ones might not be. He's kind of one of the foundational people that started Western medicine. He's the one that actually started and structured a lot of the hospitals and the way it works. And the way a lot of like if you go through and you have like the 80-hour work week in the hospital, he's kind of part of the reason why they have that in the residency program. But on the flip side, he was one of the first people that actually started the breast mastectomies for cancer. So his goal was, and what they learned and what they understood at the time, was you needed to go through and completely remove the tissue to go through and stop pretty much the tissue from dying off. Now, as we've learned further from there, is that's not actually accurate. There are other ways to go through and go about that, but that's what they knew at the time. But on the flip side, he was also addicted to cocaine and morphine, and that's why he set the hours that they did, and that's why our hospital system is broken the way it is. So they went through and they set up the entire system to where you have doctors that are run ragged. They have 5 minutes or less to go through and see every patient that comes in there. And I don't know about you guys, last time I went and saw a doctor, they didn't really give me that much time. They didn't give me much personalized information to what it needed to go through and do for me. And I think that's why a lot of us are kind of all showing up here today, is to kind of go through and get that information, see what we can go through and learn, and then apply to ourselves. So that's part of our stories and why we're all here today. So I think with that,
yeah, no, it's exactly right.
And that's what we're going to be doing on John's podcast.
Be your own self-advocate is essentially what that boils down to, is how can we take care of ourselves? And once again, it's not just me knowing everything. I've got to rely on my friends, and I've got to rely on my family, which is what most of my friends have become, is family, because I care what he says. I let him take that part. I don't need to learn that. I can have him educate me on that, because let him be the expert on that. Let me be the expert on bone health. Let me be the expert on doing something else. And let's all be effective. But the stronger we are together, That's the magic, everybody. I mean, that's why everybody came to this room tonight, is to see what's going on in the city and how can we be better versions of ourselves. That's why the podcast is going to be called Live Life for You. Once again, it's just about being the best version of ourselves. Okay. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Love it.